Alright, welcome to day one of Grammar Bootcamp, and what we're going to do is go through the very first parts of grammar, basically talking about the sentences and how you set up a sentence. There's very basic parts of a sentence. You have the subject and you have the predicate. But a lot of times what I found in grading your essays or grading multiple students' essays is that sometimes you get maybe in such a hurry that you don't even realize what is a sentence. And so there's several times I've had to write down and say this is a fragment, this is a fragment. And I want to make sure that you know what a fragment really is. So let's take a look at this first part here. All we got to do is try to figure out what a sentence is versus what a fragment is. If you notice here that a sentence is a word group that contains a subject and a verb and that expresses a complete thought. A sentence fragment is a word group that looks like a sentence, but it does not contain both a subject and a verb. It does not express a complete thought. So there's three things that it's got to do. It's got to have a subject, it's got to have a verb, and it's got to have a complete thought. It's got to have all three of those or it's not a sentence. So look at the examples here. Sentence fragment says those on board a sailboat. Well, I don't have a verb here. I got, those on board. You know, those could be a subject, but what are they doing? We don't know, so we're missing a verb. We got shouted to the swimmers near the shore. Okay, so we got a verb, they shouted, but we don't know who it is who shouted, so we got to make sure that we have our subjects here. So what we can do is actually combine both and say those on board the sailboats shouted to the swimmers at the shore. Now I've got my subject, I've got my action verb, and I'm good to go. It completes the thought too. So let's take a look at some examples here. Alright, so Antonio and his friends in the bay. Antonio and his friends in the bay. Well, I've got who it's about, but I don't have what they did, so I'm missing the verb. Since I'm missing the verb, this is a fragment. Okay, I want to put an S for if it's a sentence. I want to put F if it's a fragment. Alright, 2. They spotted a shark swimming toward a sailboat. Alright, they spotted a shark swimming toward a sailboat. So that actually is a sentence because it's got the subject, it's got the verb, and it's got a complete thought. So that's a sentence. As you see, this is, it's pretty elementary. But again, like I said, if you get in too big of a hurry, then sometimes you forget. So one of the sailboats nearby, well, that's a fragment. Efforts to distract the shark, that's a fragment. The people on the shore shouted at the swimmers. Alright, that was very similar to the ones up top. That is a sentence. The shark opened its huge jaws. Shark opened, so that's a sentence. Alright, let's see. As close to the shore as the shark was. Okay, well, as close to the shore as the shark was, what happened? I don't have a complete thought here. So that is a fragment. Alright, so that's pretty much the gist of sentences and fragments. You just got to make sure you have those three components. Subject, verb, complete thought. Alright, so let's take a look at subjects and predicates. Okay, what is a subject? Well, a subject tells whom or what the sentence is about. Whom or what the sentence is about. And then the predicate of a sentence tells something about the subject. Typically, your subject is going to be toward the beginning of the sentence, and then your predicate is going to include the verb and then everything after that. And everything after that is going to be describing what's going on in the sentence. So in the instructions here, it tells us on exercise A to identify the underlined parts of each of the following sentences as the subject or the predicate. On the line provided, write S for subject and P for predicate. So they give us the underlined parts. We just got to decide whether it's the subject or the predicate. So the White House was originally called the President's House. Okay, well, this tells me whom or what the sentence is about. So this is our subject. Okay, later was called the Executive Mansion. All right, well, it is our subject. So the rest of it must be my predicate. Okay, 3. The building's design was chosen after a contest in 1791. Well, the building's design is my subject, so then the rest of it, from verb on, is my predicate. Alright, next one, the Irish-American architect James Hoban won $500 for his design. Well, here's my verb, won, and then all the way across, $500 for his design. So this is what it's about. This is our subject right there. All right, so pretty simple, right? Subjects and predicates. All right, well, what happens if you have more than one subject? Well, we just call it a compound subject. And typically they're joined together with conjunctions, and, or, things like that. So if you look up here, compound subject consists of two or more connected subjects that have the same verb. Most common connecting words, like I said, are and or. So got the example one here. Pepper and salty are our favorite cats. So pepper and salty, they're both our subjects because they both are our pet cats. Number one, Kelly and I found. So if you notice here with the compound subjects, they're both doing this action right there. They found 2 kittens. And if you wanted to break it up, you could say it this way. You could say Kelly found 2 kittens and I found 2 kittens. So they both did that action. All right, here we go. My sister and Kelly named them Pepper and Salty. So they both did that action. So it's a compound subject. Number 3, cats and dog. So subject here, they get along. Okay, so there's our verb right there. All right, now number 4, my classmates and neighbors often come to visit. Classmates and neighbors, both subjects, and they often come right there. All right, so again, compound subjects are just very, very simple. They just are usually combined together with and or. All right, well, how about compound verbs? Well, compound verb is exactly the same way. It's just you could have one subject that's doing multiple things, multiple actions. And so again, it's going to be combined with and or but. So here we go. Let's look at example 1. It says Megan, that's our subject, loves music and, that's like a plus sign, just like in math. So Megan loves music and enjoys classical concerts. Well, who enjoys classical concerts? This word and tells us that Megan is doing both of these things. She both loves, number 1, and she enjoys, number 2. So she's doing both these actions, so we call that a compound verb. All right, number 1, Megan will learn, that's the first thing, she'll learn viola, study music theory, and take. All right, well here we got 3. She's going to learn, study, and take. Okay, so she's doing 3 different actions here. That's a compound verb. Okay, number 2, her school music teacher gives her lessons, and it's just like a plus sign. So she gives her lessons and shows her new tunes. So she's doing both things. That's compound verbs. That's really all there is to it. So compound subjects are joined together with and or, and then compound verbs are doing the same thing. You just have more than one action going on here. All right, so that's day 1. Basically just the basic parts of a sentence and the fact that you can combine a couple things and really make it a little bit more lengthy and get more done by combining either 2 subjects or 2 verbs. So all right, catch back with me next time on day 2.